Because hidden within its lush canopy was a rare, unearthly element that powered their advanced technology. And somehow, I, Captain Rogers, got roped into helping President Trump negotiate with them. Let me tell you, it was one of the most surreal and high-stakes days of my life. What do you think? Should we have tried to negotiate? Or were we already doomed the moment they showed up? It all started with a strange signal detected near Earth's atmosphere. At first, we thought it was another harmless flyby from alien explorers, something we'd seen before. But then came the message, a formal request for an audience with Earth's leadership. Their demand, the Amazon rainforest, not the land, not the trees, but the entire ecosystem. And they weren't asking, they were claiming it as a galactic resource. Why? Because hidden within its lush canopy was a rare, unearthly element that powered their advanced technology. And somehow, I, Captain Rogers, got roped into helping President Trump negotiate with them. Let me tell you, it was one of the most surreal and high-stakes days of my life. What do you think? Should we have tried to negotiate? Or were we already doomed the moment they showed up? I was orbiting Earth aboard the starbound Voyager when the call came through. The Azothians, a race of towering, crystalline beings with translucent skin and glowing veins, had parked their mothership in low orbit over the Amazon. Their message was clear. They wanted the rainforest, and they wanted it now. The president's team, of course, was scrambling. Trump himself, larger than life as always, declared, "No alien is gonna take the greatest forest in the world. Not on my watch." But the truth was, we had no idea how to deal with them. That's where I came in. The Azothians had requested a neutral third party to mediate, someone with experience in alien diplomacy. Somehow, my name ended up on the short list. Next thing I knew, I was sitting in the Oval Office, listening to Trump brainstorm his negotiation strategy. "Rogers," he said, pointing at me, "these guys don't know who they're dealing with. I've made deals bigger than this. We're gonna win, but I need you to tell me what they want and how we can make him go away." I nodded, biting back a comment about how negotiating with galactic overlords might be a bit different from negotiating hotel contracts. If you were in my position, would you feel confident or terrified standing beside the President of the United States to negotiate with an alien race? It all began with a signal and otherworldly pulse that disrupted communication satellites over the southern hemisphere. At first, it was dismissed as a random glitch, an anomaly caused by solar interference. But when the signal repeated, its rhythm precise and intentional, Earth's top scientists scrambled for answers. Within hours, they confirmed what we had all feared. The signal wasn't coming from Earth. I was aboard the starbound Voyager, on a routine mission mapping asteroid belts near Jupiter. When the call came in, Ada, my ever-efficient AI, alerted me with a calm urgency that only she could manage. "Captain Rogers, incoming high-priority message from Earth's global defense network," she said. "Shall I patch it through?" I leaned back in my chair, sipping coffee that tasted more like burnt plastic than anything resembling beans, and nodded. "Let's hear it." The screen flickered to life, revealing the grim face of General Marcus Trent. "Rogers," he barked, wasting no time on pleasantries. "We've got a situation. An alien mothership has entered low Earth orbit over the Amazon rainforest. They've sent a message demanding an audience with Earth's leadership. You're being recalled immediately." "Demanding an audience? About what?" I asked, my curiosity piqued. The general's jaw tightened. "They claim the Amazon rainforest contains a resource critical to their survival. They're calling it Azothium. Ever heard of it?" I shook my head. "Can't say I have." "What's their endgame?" "They want the entire rainforest," he said, his voice heavy with frustration. "Not just parts of it, the whole damn thing." I sat up straighter. "And we're just supposed to hand it over?" "Not without a fight," Trent said. "But the president wants to explore every option before things escalate. We need you back here to assist with the negotiations." I sighed, setting my coffee aside. "Guess the asteroid belt can wait." "What would you do if you found out an alien race wanted to take one of Earth's most precious natural resources? Would you negotiate, fight, or try to find a middle ground?" Within 24 hours, I was back on Earth, standing in the Oval Office alongside President Donald J. Trump. Say what you will about the man, but he had a way of making every room feel like it was his stage. Trump was pacing, his red tie slightly askew, as his advisors laid out the situation. Within 24 hours, I was back on Earth, standing in the Oval Office alongside President Donald J. Trump. Say what you will about the man, but he had a way of making every room feel like it was his stage. Trump was pacing, his red tie slightly askew, As his advisors laid out the situation, "Rogers, you've dealt with these aliens before. What's the play here? How do we keep the Amazon where it belongs on Earth, soil?" I took a deep breath, glancing around the room. "Mr. President, the Azothians are a hyperlogical species. They value efficiency and necessity above all else. If we want to stop them, we need to present an alternative that meets their needs without destroying the rainforest. And if they don't listen," Trump asked, crossing his arms, "then we'll need to show them why Earth isn't a planet to mess with," I said, my tone firm. "But I'd rather avoid that if we can." Trump nodded, a flicker of approval in his eyes. "All right, Rogers, you're my guy on this. Make it happen." If you were in that room, standing beside the president and hearing that an alien species was ready to destroy the Amazon, what would you have said? Would you argue for peace or prepare for war? The Azothian mothership was a marvel of alien engineering. It hovered over the Amazon like a giant crystalline structure, its surface shimmering with hues of silver and blue. As my shuttle approached, I couldn't help but feel a mix of awe and dread. This wasn't just a ship, it was a statement of power. Inside the ship, the atmosphere was cool and sterile, the walls made of translucent material that pulsed faintly with light. ADA's voice chimed in my earpiece. "Captain Rogers, environmental scans indicate no immediate threats. The air is breathable, though slightly enriched with trace elements not found on Earth." "Noted," I muttered, stepping onto the smooth, glass-like floor. The Azothians greeted us in their own peculiar way. They didn't walk, they glided, their crystalline forms catching the ambient light and refracting it like living prisms. Their leader, Zereth, was taller than the rest, his translucent body glowing faintly from within. "Welcome, Captain Rogers," Zereth said, his voice a harmonious blend of tones that seemed to resonate in my chest. And President Trump, representative of Earth's dominant nation, Trump, ever the showman, stepped forward with a confident grin. "Zereth, nice to meet you. Fantastic ship you've got here. Really tremendous. But let's get one thing straight, you're not taking our rainforest." Zereth tilted his head, its glow shifting to a faint blue. "The Amazon contains Azothium, a resource vital to our survival. By galactic law, we claim it as a necessary extraction." "Well, we've got laws too," Trump shot back, "and they say you can't just waltz in here and take whatever you want. That's not how deals work." I stepped in before things escalated further. "Zereth, perhaps we can find a compromise. Earth values the Amazon for its ecological and cultural significance. Removing it would have catastrophic consequences for our planet." Zereth's glow dimmed slightly, a sign of irritation. "Compromise is inefficient. Our species' survival outweighs your planet's concerns. Imagine standing in the middle of that exchange, trying to mediate between the President of the United States and an alien leader. How would you handle the tension? Would you back your leader or try to reason with the aliens?" As the negotiations continued, I realized we needed to understand more about Azothium, what it was, why it was so important, and why it seemed to be concentrated in the Amazon dot. With ADA's help, I accessed the Azothians' data on the element. What I discovered was astonishing. Azothium wasn't just a rare mineral, it was alive in a sense. It resonated with the biological life around it, amplifying the rainforest's natural processes. This symbiosis made the Amazon a unique and irreplaceable hotspot for the element. When I presented this information to Zereth, their glow shifted to green, a color I interpreted as surprise. We were unaware of this complexity. They admitted our scans did not detect such an intricate relationship. Trump seized the moment. "You see, the Amazon isn't just some patch of trees. It's a miracle. And if you destroy it, you'll lose something even more valuable than your Azothium. What do you think? Can logic and science persuade a species that values efficiency above all else? Or does it take something more, something uniquely human to make them understand?" Despite our efforts, the Azothians remained firm in their stance. They gave us 48 hours to present an alternative solution, or they would proceed with the extraction dot. As I left the mothership, the weight of the situation settled heavily on my shoulders. Zereth tilted his head, its glow shifting to a faint blue. "The Amazon contains Azothium, a resource vital to our survival. By galactic law, we claim it as a necessary extraction." "Well, we've got laws too," Trump shot back, "and they say you can't just waltz in here and take whatever you want. That's not how deals work." I stepped in before things escalated further. The meeting took place aboard their mothership, a gleaming structure of glass and light that seemed to hum with its own energy. Trump, flanked by his security detail, strode in with his trademark confidence, while I tried to keep my nerves in check. The Azothian leader, a being named Xerath, towered over us, its crystalline form shimmering like a living diamond. When it spoke, its voice resonated like a chorus, both melodic and menacing. Earth's Amazon contains traces of Azothium, Xerath said, a rare element vital to our survival. We claim it in accordance with galactic law. Trump raised a hand. Now hold on, Xerath. This isn't how we do business on Earth. You don't just show up and take something because you think it's yours. We can talk about this, but the Amazon isn't going anywhere. Xerath's glow dimmed slightly, a sign of irritation. You misunderstand, President Trump. This is not a negotiation. It is a declaration. That's when I stepped in. Xerath, with all due respect, Earth values the Amazon as more than a resource. It's a vital part of our planet's ecosystem. Removing it would destabilize not just our environment, but our entire civilization. Xerath tilted its head, its glow shifting to a faint blue. Your civilization is irrelevant compared to the survival of ours. If you were standing there, hearing an alien declare your planet's most precious resource irrelevant, what would you do? Try to reason with them or prepare for a fight. The weight of the deadline hung over us like a storm cloud. 48 hours. That's how long we had to convince the Azothians not to strip Earth of its most precious ecosystem. The Amazon was more than just trees and wildlife. It was the lungs of the planet, a lifeline for billions. And somehow, it had also become ground zero for a galactic standoff. Back aboard their mothership, the negotiations resumed. The crystalline walls of the chamber shimmered faintly, and the air was thick with tension. President Trump sat across from Xerath, flanked by his advisors and a security team that looked increasingly out of place. In the face of the Azothians' technological superiority, I stood at Trump's side, trying to keep my own nerves in check. Xerath spoke first, its voice reverberating through the chamber like a chorus of bells. We have analyzed your data regarding the ecological significance of this Amazon. While notable, it does not outweigh our need for Azothium. Your objections are understood, but insufficient. Trump leaned forward, his hands clasped together on the table. Listen here, Xerath. You don't just waltz into someone else's house and take their furniture, no matter how fancy it is. That's not how deals work. I winced at the metaphor, but Trump's bravado was unwavering. To my surprise, Xerath didn't react with hostility. Instead, its crystalline form shifted slightly, as though considering the statement. President Trump, Xerath replied, your analogies are quaint, but irrelevant. This is not theft. It is a necessity. Without Azothium, my species will face extinction within the next galactic cycle. President Trump sat across from Xerath, flanked by his advisors and a security team that looked increasingly out of place. In the face of the Azothians' technological superiority, I stood at Trump's side, trying to keep my own nerves in check. Xerath spoke first, its voice reverberating through the chamber like a chorus of bells. We have analyzed your data regarding the ecological significance of this Amazon. While notable, it does not outweigh our need for Azothium. Your objections are understood, but insufficient. Xerath's glow dimmed, signaling irritation. We have searched for millennia. Captain Rogers, the deposits on your planet are uniquely accessible. The conditions in your Amazon accelerate Azothian's regeneration, a phenomenon we have not observed elsewhere. Regeneration, I echoed, a spark of curiosity lighting in my mind. You're saying the Amazon doesn't just contain Azothium, it creates it. In a sense, Xerath said, the symbiosis between your planet's biosphere and Azothium is unparalleled. This is why extraction is both essential and efficient. Trump frowned, clearly unimpressed by the explanation. Unparalleled or not, we're not handing over our forest. Period. Then we are at an impasse. Xerath said, its tone cold and final. We regrouped back in the diplomatic shuttle, and the frustration was palpable. Trump paced back and forth, muttering under his breath, while his advisors huddled over their tablets, trying to come up with a strategy. They're not listening, Trump said, throwing up his hands. These aliens don't care about deals, they care about results. We need to give them a reason to walk away. That's easier said than done, I replied, staring out the window. At the shimmering mothership, they're desperate, and desperate species make desperate choices. Trump stopped pacing and turned to me, a rare look of genuine concern in his eyes. Then we need to make them less desperate. Rogers, if anyone can figure this out, it's you. I nodded, the weight of his words settling heavily on my shoulders. I knew he was right. The Azothians wouldn't budge unless we gave them a viable alternative and fast. Have you ever faced a problem where every solution seemed impossible? How did you push through and find an answer? With time running out, I turned to Ada for help. If the Azothian deposits in the Amazon were truly unique, I needed to understand why and fast. Ada worked tirelessly, analyzing the Azothian data and cross-referencing it with Earth's geological records. Captain Rogers, Ada said after hours of silence, I believe I have identified a potential alternative. Azothium's regenerative properties are tied to a specific combination of environmental factors present in the Amazon. These conditions could theoretically be replicated elsewhere. Replicated how? I asked. Leaning closer to the console, by creating an artificial biosphere, Ada replied. If we construct a controlled environment that mimics the Amazon's ecosystem, we could potentially cultivate Azothium without damaging the rainforest. I stared at the data, a flicker of hope igniting in my chest. How long would it take to build something like that? Months, perhaps years, Ada admitted, but it would provide a sustainable solution. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. I relayed the idea to Trump and his team, and to my surprise, the president actually liked it. Artificial rainforest, he said, nodding. Sounds like something we can sell. Let's pitch it to the aliens. The next day, we returned to the mothership with our proposal. Xerath greeted us with its usual stoic demeanor, though I sensed a flicker of curiosity in its crystalline form. Have you reached a decision? Xerath asked. We have, I said, stepping forward. We can't give you the Amazon, but we can help you create an alternative. An artificial biosphere, designed to cultivate Azothium without harming Earth's ecosystem. Xerath's glow shifted to a faint green, a sign of cautious interest. Explain. See, that's the art of the deal. Xerath, everybody wins. What do you think? Would this kind of compromise work in a situation like this? Or would the Azothians still see it as a loss? The Azothians agreed to the plan, but with conditions. They would monitor the construction of the artificial biosphere closely, ensuring that it met their needs. See, that's the art of the deal. Xerath, everybody wins. What do you think? Would this kind of compromise work in a situation like this? Or would the Azothians still see it as a loss? The Azothians agreed to the plan, but with conditions. They would monitor the construction of the artificial biosphere closely, ensuring that it met their needs. In return, they promised to leave the Amazon untouched for now. As we left the mothership, I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief mixed with unease. We had bought time, but the stakes were still high. If the biosphere failed, the Azothians would be back in next time. They might not be willing to negotiate. Back on Earth, Trump addressed the nation, framing the agreement as a triumph of diplomacy and human ingenuity. Azothium's regenerative properties are tied to a specific combination of environmental factors present in the Amazon. These conditions could theoretically be replicated elsewhere. Replicated how? I asked, leaning closer to the console. By creating an artificial biosphere, Ada replied. If we construct a controlled environment that mimics the Amazon's ecosystem, we could potentially cultivate Azothium without damaging the rainforest. I stared at the data, a flicker of hope igniting in my chest. How long would it take to build something like that? Months, perhaps years, Ada admitted. The Azothians were logical, almost cold in their reasoning, but they weren't unreasonable. After hours of back and forth, I realized they didn't want to destroy Earth. They just saw no alternative. Azothium was too rare, and their need too great. That's when Trump leaned forward, his signature grin creeping onto his face. All right, Xerath, here's the deal. You don't take the Amazon. Instead, we'll work together to find another source of this Azothium stuff. Maybe even improve how to extract it. You get what you need, and Earth keeps its forest. Win-win. Xerath's glow pulsed as it considered this. Your proposition is inefficient. The Amazon is the most concentrated source within range. Trump didn't back down. Inefficient? Let me tell you, nobody solves inefficiencies like humans. We'll find you a solution faster than you can blink. Those glowing eyes of yours. At that moment, I saw a glimmer of something in Xerath's crystalline form. A crack, perhaps, or maybe just the faintest flicker of curiosity. Do you think Trump's confidence could win over an alien species? Or does it take more than charisma to sway a galactic superpower? The fragile agreement with the Azothians had bought us time, but it wasn't enough to dispel the tension. As we worked to construct the artificial biosphere, the weight of the situation began to settle in. This wasn't just about the Amazon, it was about trust, survival, and the delicate balance of power between Earth and an advanced alien race. And then, as if things couldn't get more complicated, I uncovered a truth about the Azothium and the Amazon that changed everything. Back aboard the Azothian mothership, I requested additional data on the Azothium. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this rare element than they were letting on. Xerath hesitated, its crystalline form dimming as if considering my request. "Why do you persist, Captain Rogers?" Xerath finally asked. "We have already explained the necessity of Azothium." "Because something doesn't add up," I replied. "You've been harvesting Azothium across the galaxy for millennia, but you've never found another source like the Amazon." "Why?" Xerath's glow flickered, an unmistakable sign of hesitation. "The Amazon is unique," it admitted. "Its biosphere amplifies the regenerative properties of Azothium. How would you feel if you found out one of Earth's most iconic natural wonders wasn't entirely natural? Would it change how you see the world or inspire you to dig deeper?" The revelation was staggering. The Amazon wasn't just Earth's treasure, it was a remnant of an ancient galactic experiment, a legacy left behind by beings so advanced that even the Azothians revered them. "Why didn't you tell us this sooner?" And projected a holographic map of Earth. The map highlighted several key locations: the Amazon, the Congo Basin, and a handful of other lush, biodiverse regions. These regions contained remnants of Azothium from an earlier era, the advisor explained. They were seeded long ago by an ancient civilization, one that predates both humanity and the Azothians. I felt my breath catch in my throat. "You're saying the Amazon wasn't a natural phenomenon. It was created." "Not created," Xerath corrected, "enhanced. The ancient ones left behind traces of their technology, which fused with your planet's biosphere. The Amazon is the most prominent result." "How would you feel if you found out one of Earth's most iconic natural wonders wasn't entirely natural? Would it change how you see the world or inspire you to dig deeper?" The revelation was staggering. The Amazon wasn't just Earth's treasure, it was a remnant of an ancient galactic experiment, a legacy left behind by beings so advanced that even the Azothians revered them. "Why didn't you tell us this sooner?" I asked, struggling to keep my frustration in check. "We did not believe it was relevant," Xerath said. "Your species has only just begun to explore its place in the galaxy. The knowledge of the ancient ones is premature." I shook my head. "You don't get to decide what we're ready for. If the Amazon is part of a greater legacy, then Earth deserves to know." Xerath's glow shifted to green, a sign of contemplation. "Perhaps, but knowledge can be dangerous. The ancient ones disappeared for a reason. Back on Earth, I relayed what I had learned to President Trump and his team. The room fell silent as I explained the connection between the Amazon and the ancient civilization. "So, let me get this straight," Trump said, leaning back in his chair. "No other ecosystem in the galaxy has demonstrated this phenomenon. But why?" I pressed. "What makes the Amazon different?" Xerath remained silent for a moment before gesturing to one of its advisors. The smaller Azothian stepped forward, its translucent form shimmering faintly. "Do you think humanity is ready to learn about its place in the galaxy? Or are there some truths we're better off not knowing?" As construction on the artificial biosphere progressed, tensions with the Azothians began to flare. They grew impatient, questioning the speed of our efforts and the feasibility of the project. "This process is inefficient," Xerath said during one of our meetings. "Our survival cannot wait for human delays. We're moving as fast as we can," I replied, trying to keep my frustration in check. "But this is uncharted territory for us. If you want results, you'll have to work with us." Trump, who had joined the meeting remotely, leaned into the camera feed. "Xerath, you gotta trust us. Nobody builds like humans. We've got the best engineers, the best technology. It'll get done. Believe me." Xerath's glow dimmed, but it didn't press the issue further. Still, I could feel the tension growing. If we didn't deliver soon, the Azothians might abandon the agreement and take matters into their own hands. What would you do in a situation like this? Would you push to meet the aliens' demands or risk losing their trust entirely? As the deadline approached, Ada uncovered a disturbing anomaly in the data we had received from the Azothians. The energy signature of Azothium was spreading not just in the Amazon, but across Earth's biosphere. "It's evolving," Ada explained. "The interaction between Azothium and Earth's ecosystem is accelerating. If this continues, it could destabilize the planet's climate and ecosystems." I stared at the data, a knot forming in my stomach. And if the Azothians extracted, total collapse, Ada said. The biosphere would lose its ability to sustain life. The stakes had just gotten higher. It wasn't just about saving the Amazon anymore, it was about saving the planet Dot with no time to lose. I confronted Xerath directly. Your plan to extract Azothium could destroy Earth, I said, laying the data on the table. If you go through with it, you won't just doom humanity, you'll doom yourselves. The fallout would make the element unusable. Xerath's glow shifted to green, then to blue, a sign of uncertainty. Your findings are troubling, it admitted, but our survival remains imperative. Then help us, I said, my voice rising with urgency. Work with us to stabilize the Azothium. If we can harness its potential safely, it could benefit both our species. Xerath hesitated, its crystalline form flickering faintly. Finally, it nodded. We will assist. But know this, Captain Rogers, failure is not an option. Would you have risked confronting the aliens with such high stakes? Or would you have looked for another way to protect Earth? The fragile alliance between Earth and the Azothians had been tested, but for now, it held. As we move forward with the Biosphere Project, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The Ancient Ones had left behind more than just Azothium. They had left behind questions, mysteries, and a challenge for humanity to rise to the occasion. As the negotiations dragged on, I decided to dig deeper into why the Amazon was such a hotspot for Azothium. With ADA's help, I analyzed the data the Azothians had shared, and the results shocked me. Azothium wasn't just a resource, it was alive, in a sense. The element had bonded with the rainforest ecosystem over millennia, creating a symbiotic relationship that enhanced the forest's ability to generate oxygen and sustain life. When I presented this to Xerath, their glow shifted to a deep green, a sign of shock or perhaps shame. You claim to value life, I said, but removing the Amazon would destroy one of the galaxy's most unique ecosystems. Is your survival worth that cost? For the first time, Xerath hesitated. We did not realize the complexity of this relationship. Trump jumped in. Exactly. The Amazon isn't just a forest, it's a miracle. And if we lose it, we all lose. Would you side with Earth's preservation or an alien species' survival? If faced with a choice like this, is there always a way to compromise? The fragile agreement with the Azothians gave us a glimmer of hope, but the countdown loomed over us like an ominous shadow. Xerath had made it clear, if Earth's artificial biosphere wasn't operational in time, the Azothians would resort to harvesting the Amazon by force. The stakes couldn't have been higher. We weren't just negotiating for a forest anymore, we were negotiating for Earth's survival. And to make things worse, ADA had detected something troubling. Anomalies in the Azothian mothership's energy field. Something was brewing beneath the surface of their supposed cooperation, and it was up to me to figure out what got back on the Azothian mothership. Xerath summoned me for a private meeting. As I stepped into their chamber, the atmosphere felt different, tenser, colder. The usually harmonious hum of the ship seemed off, like an orchestra slightly out of tune. You've made progress, Xerath began, its crystalline form glowing faintly. But it is not enough. Your species lacks the urgency required for survival. I frowned. We're doing everything we can, Xerath. You agreed to give us time. Xerath tilted its head, the glow in its translucent body dimming. Time is a luxury we no longer possess. Our council has decided to accelerate the timeline. The Amazon must be harvested within the next 12 hours if your biosphere is not operational. 12 hours, I said, my voice rising. That's impossible. You'll destroy the Amazon and destabilize Earth's ecosystem. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, Xerath replied, its tone cold and unyielding. I clenched my fists, resisting the urge to lash out. If you destroy Earth, what makes you think your species will survive? ADA's analysis showed that extracting the Azothium at this scale will destabilize the element itself. You'll lose everything. Xerath hesitated, its glow flickering uncertainly. Your analysis could be flawed. It's not, I said firmly, and deep down, you know that. Before Xerath could respond, an alarm blared through the chamber. The Azothian advisor entered, its crystalline form vibrating with urgency. We are detecting interference from Earth's military forces. They are mobilizing weapons near the Amazon. What would you do in my position? Confront the aliens, risk war, or try to broker peace when time was running out? The Oval Office was in chaos. President Trump's voice boomed through the secure channel, his frustration palpable. Rogers, we've got satellite footage of their ship powering up something big. I'm not letting them strip the Amazon on my watch. We're mobilizing, Mr. President, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. If we escalate, it'll trigger an all-out war. Earth can't win against their technology. Trump leaned into the camera, his expression steely. We don't need to win. We just need to make them think twice. I groaned inwardly. The last thing we needed was a show of force, but Trump wasn't entirely wrong. The Azothians needed to understand that Earth wasn't defenseless. Still, there had to be another way. Give me one more chance to talk to them, I said. If I can't get them to back down, you can do what you need to. Trump's jaw tightened, but after a moment, he nodded. Fine, but you've got 1 hour, Rogers. Don't waste it. Help us finish the biosphere. Work with us instead of against us. For a moment, I thought I'd gotten through to them, but then Xerath's advisor spoke, its voice sharp and cold. The council has already decided. The extraction will proceed. How do you convince someone or something that believes their survival is more important than yours? Conflict is inefficient, but your species leaves us no alternative. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. Listen to me. You said the Azothians' regenerative properties are tied to the Amazon's ecosystem. If you destroy the forest, you'll destroy what makes the Azothian valuable. You're not just endangering Earth, you're jeopardizing your own survival. Xerath remained silent, its crystalline form still. I pressed on. You told me your species values logic and efficiency. Well, logic dictates that cooperation is our best option. Help us finish the biosphere. Work with us instead of against us. For a moment, I thought I'd gotten through to them, but then Xerath's advisor spoke, its voice sharp and cold. The council has already decided. The extraction will proceed. How do you convince someone or something that believes their survival is more important than yours? Could you find the words to make them listen? With less than an hour remaining, I returned to Earth to oversee the Biosphere project. Scientists and engineers were working around the clock, but it was clear we wouldn't meet the deadline. The facility was only partially operational, and we still hadn't tested its ability to generate AZOTHIUM. As the countdown ticked away, I found myself standing in the Amazon, staring up at the alien mothership. Conflict is inefficient, but your species leaves us no alternative. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. Listen to me. You said the Azothians' regenerative properties are tied to the Amazon's ecosystem. If you destroy the forest, you'll destroy what makes the Azothian valuable. You're not just endangering Earth, you're jeopardizing your own survival. Xerath remained silent, its crystalline form still. I pressed on. You told me your species values logic and efficiency. Well, logic dictates that cooperation is our best option. This conflict serves no one. A new figure appeared in the hologram, its form unlike anything I'd seen before. It was massive, its body composed of swirling light and shadow, and its presence radiated authority. Who are you? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. I'm Alther, it said, a mediator of the Ancient Ones. This conflict has drawn our attention. Xerath's glow dimmed, and it bowed slightly. Alther, we did not intend to silence, Alther commanded. It is a risk we must take, Xerath replied. Desperation bubbled up inside me. You don't have to do this. Let us prove the biosphere can work. Give us more time. Xerath hesitated, its glow flickering. But before it could respond, another voice cut in a deep, resonant tone that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Enough, the voice said. This conflict serves no one. A new figure appeared in the hologram, its form unlike anything I'd seen before. It was massive, its body composed of swirling light and shadow, and its presence radiated authority. Who are you? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. I'm Alther, it said, a mediator of the Ancient Ones. This conflict has drawn our attention. Xerath's glow dimmed, and it bowed slightly. Alther, we did not intend to silence, Alther commanded. Both your species have failed to respect the legacy of the Ancient Ones. The Azothium is not yours to claim, Xerath, nor is it yours to protect. Captain Rogers, I stared at the being, my mind racing. Then what do we do? Alther's form shifted, its light pulsing rhythmically. You will finish the biosphere. The Azothians will assist, and you will preserve the Amazon. Both of your species must learn to coexist or face the consequences. With Alther's intervention, the Azothians had no choice but to comply. They halted the extraction process and redirected their resources toward completing the biosphere. Conflict is inefficient, but your species leaves us no alternative. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. Listen to me. You said the Azothian's regenerative properties are tied to the Amazon's ecosystem. If you destroy the forest, you'll destroy what makes the Azothian valuable. You're not just endangering Earth, you're jeopardizing your own survival. Xerath remained silent, its crystalline form still. I pressed on. You told me your species values logic and efficiency. Well, logic dictates that cooperation is our best option. In the end, the Azothians agreed to a compromise. Using Earth's technology and a bit of human ingenuity, we worked with them to extract small amounts of Azothium without harming the rainforest. The process was painstaking, but it preserved the Amazon's ecosystem while giving the Azothians what they needed. As we stood outside the Oval Office after the deal was finalized, Trump clapped me on the back. "Rogers, you did good. Not as good as me, but good." I chuckled. "Just another day in intergalactic diplomacy, Mr. President." The biosphere was completed. The Amazon was spared, and the Azothians had departed Earth's orbit. On the surface, it seemed like a victory, a testament to diplomacy, cooperation, and human ingenuity. But as I stood in the artificial ecosystem, staring at the first faint glimmers of Azothium forming in the soil, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of something far greater and far more dangerous. "What else can you tell me?" I asked. "The sphere's signal also contains a message," Ada said. "Shall I play it?" I nodded, my heart pounding. The voice that emerged was deep and resonant. "Much like Althor's, to those who seek our legacy, proceed with caution." President Trump wasted no time taking credit for the outcome, holding a press conference in front of a massive banner that read "Earth first, Galaxy second." "I told you we'd make the best deal," Trump said, beaming. "Nobody negotiates like us. Nobody. We kept the Amazon, built the biosphere, and showed the galaxy what Earth is made of." Tremendous victory, folks, tremendous. But behind the scenes, things weren't so rosy. The Biosphere Project had drained resources from critical infrastructure programs, and many nations were demanding answers about the true nature of the Azothian. The secret of the Ancient Ones of their role in Earth's history remained classified, locked away in secure files that only a handful of people, myself included, had access to. Even among the scientists working on the biosphere, rumors were spreading. Why had the Azothians been so desperate for Azothium? What had Althor meant by the consequences? And most importantly, what else might the Ancient Ones have left behind? What would you do with knowledge like this? Would you share it with the world, or keep it hidden, knowing the chaos it might unleash? A few weeks after the Azothians' departure, I returned to the starbound Voyager. Life aboard the ship had always been a solace for me, a quiet refuge from the chaos of Earth. But this time, something felt different. The glowing sphere Xerath had given me sat on my desk, its light pulsing faintly, almost like it was alive. A DAS voice interrupted my thoughts. "Captain Rogers, the Azothian sphere has emitted a low-frequency signal. Would you like me to analyze it?" I nodded. "Go ahead, Ada." A holographic display flickered to life, revealing a series of symbols and patterns. At first, they seemed random, but as Ada worked, the symbols began to translate into something comprehensible, a map, not of Earth, but of the galaxy. And at the center of the map was a single point, marked with a glowing sigil I didn't recognize. "Ada, what is this?" I asked, leaning closer to the display. "The sphere appears to contain navigational data," she replied. "The marked location is in an uncharted region of space." My mind raced. Was this where the Ancient Ones had gone? Or was it another remnant of their civilization? Either way, the implications were staggering. "What else can you tell me?" I asked. "The sphere's signal also contains a message," Ada said. "Shall I play it?" I nodded, my heart pounding. The voice that emerged was deep and resonant. "Much like Althor's, to those who seek our legacy, proceed with caution. The secret of the Ancient Ones of their role in Earth's history remained classified, locked away in secure files that only a handful of people, myself included, had access to. Even among the scientists working on the biosphere, rumors were spreading. The map consumed my thoughts. I knew I should report it to Earth's leadership, but something stopped me. This wasn't just about politics or power, this was about understanding the truth of our place in the universe. The Ancient Ones had left their mark on Earth for a reason, and I needed to know why. I called a meeting with my crew. "We've been handed a unique opportunity," I said, projecting the map onto the main screen. "This location could hold the answers to questions we've been asking for centuries about the Ancient Ones, about Azothium, about why Earth was chosen." But it's not without risks. My second in command, Lieutenant Vega, frowned. Captain, if this is as important as it seems, shouldn't we consult with Earth Command? We could, I admitted, but we both know how that would go. Bureaucracy, red tape, and endless delays. If we want answers, we have to take the initiative. The room fell silent as the crew processed my words. Finally, Vega nodded. I'm with you, Captain. Let's find out what's out there. As we prepared for the journey, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. ADA had detected faint energy signatures near the ship patterns that didn't match anything in Earth's database. At first, I thought it might be remnants of the Azothians' technology, but the more I studied it, the more I realized it was something else entirely. One night, as I reviewed the data in my quarters, the sphere emitted a sudden burst of light. A hologram flickered to life, revealing a shadowy figure cloaked in darkness. Captain Rogers. The figure said, its voice low and menacing, "You are meddling in matters beyond your comprehension. The Watchers have observed your species for millennia, and we will not allow you to disrupt the balance." I stood, my pulse quickening. "Who are you?" The figure didn't answer directly. "The Ancient Ones left behind more than technology. They left behind a warning. Do not seek what lies ahead, or you will unleash forces that cannot be contained." With that, the hologram vanished, leaving me alone in the dim light of my quarters. Would you heed a warning like that, or would your curiosity push you to uncover the truth, no matter the cost? Despite the warning, my resolve was stronger than ever. The Ancient Ones had left their mark on Earth, shaping the very foundation of our world. If there was even a chance to understand their purpose, I had to take it. As the starbound Voyager prepared to depart, I recorded a final message for Earth Command. "This is Captain Rogers, embarking on a mission to uncover the truth behind the Ancient Ones. If I don't return, know that the answers we seek are out there waiting for those brave enough to find them." The engines roared to life, and the ship lifted off, leaving Earth behind. Ahead of us lay uncharted space, a galaxy filled with mysteries and dangers. But for the first time in my life, I felt truly ready. The Amazon crisis had been a turning point, not just for Earth, but for me personally. It had shown me how fragile our place in the universe truly was, and how much more there was to discover. As the stars stretched out before us, I couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. The Ancient Ones had left us a challenge. Now, it was up to us to rise to it. What do you think we'll find out there? Could humanity ever truly understand the legacy of the Ancient Ones? Or are some secrets better left in the stars? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned for the next chapter of this interstellar journey. Rogers out.